from Rockschool, and guess who I'm with today? Nadia Javed from the Tuts. Hi Nadia, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
My first question is, what is your earliest memory of connecting with music?
Probably walking to Woolworths with my dad. I live in Hayes, so we have like this parade of shops on the Uxbridge Road, and that was when Woolworths used to exist. And I always used to walk up there with my dad, and you know, in the first week of release when CDs used to be $2.99, and I'd always go and buy stuff.
How did you start your personal journey with music?
I went to a local primary school called Hayes Park, and I was really lucky because my tutor in year 6 was called Miss Allen, and she was a music teacher and she used to play piano, so we always used to sing and play piano, and she was really the one that kind of first inspired me to find my voice and sing. And every Friday we'd have singing assembly. We'd sing random songs like Bob Dylan, Blowing in the Wind, and just like random songs that were like quite mature for young children to sing, but
you didn't really understand it, but you really enjoyed it.
But now I'm like, that was amazing. We were singing Bob Dylan. Yeah, and I think from that I realised I really loved singing, and I think that was like the first sort of stages into, and then my mum forced me into piano lessons because she loved John Lennon. I've got a photo of him up on the wall.
Why the guitar?
Whoa. Well, it was funny because initially I started playing, I used to play the piano, keyboard, but then in secondary school I actually started playing drums first because they were offering drum lessons for 40 quid for a whole term, and I started the drum lessons with Beverly, who plays drums in the band. And so we went together, and it was nice because we were like learning together, and it was really great. But I don't know, maybe because I'm a bit of a narcissist, I just felt like I wanted to be, we knew we wanted to form a band, and I wanted to be the singer guitarist. Like I wanted to be at the front. I didn't want to be like, even though I love drums and even part of guitar, like the rhythmic side of it is similar to drums in a way, I wanted to be at the front. So
the main person.
Yeah, I wanted to be at the front. So yeah, I wanted to play guitar.
Okay with that. Okay.
Yeah,
that's fine.
And I think because like all the bands that I was into, like Feeder and the Libertines, you always admire the lead singer the most, I suppose,
course,
and you're like fixated on them. And so I wanted that. I wanted to be that, but like the girl version.
So what bands or artists were your biggest influence?
So I've already mentioned bands like Feeder, the Libertines, and even bands like Good Charlotte and Busted.
Oh really?
And yeah, I love all that pop
They're
music.
quite fun.
And yeah, I like fun pop music. So all of that stuff. But obviously early on it was like really pop, like Spice Girls, like 90s pop. Love Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls, TLC, Bewitched, Mystique, S Club 7.
The whole mix.
Yeah, and then as I progressed it became to like Busted, Good Charlotte, Feeder, and the Libertines were like the biggest influence on my entire life. Because I went to this Love Music, Hate Racism show. When I was 15, and it was at the London Astoria before it got knocked down, and the Libertines were playing with the Buzzcocks and loads of other bands, and it was for Love Music, Hate Racism. And that was the first time I'd been to like a proper gig at like standing, and I was at the front against the barrier. And I remember when the Libertines came on, it was incredible. I got crushed. And I almost fainted, and I had to be pulled out of the crowd. And then I kind of left the venue, and I just stumbled down some stairs, and somebody found me and then gave me some water, and I rehydrated, and then they played Time for Heroes, and I could hear the opening bars, and I was like, I've got to get back in there. And when I went back in there was just this old man on the stage. I was like, who's that? Turned out to be Mick Jones.
Wow.
From The Clash. So yeah, saw Mick Jones from The Clash playing with the Libertines.
And what do you enjoy most about what you do?
There's like the narcissistic side of being on stage and having that adrenaline rush and just feeling buzzed, and then coming off stage and going to the merch table and meeting everybody. But then there's also like the really kind of touching side where you're inspiring like a younger generation of like young girls, of people of colour, to pick up instruments and play instruments. And it might not even be music, they might do poetry, and I've inspired them to do something creative and find that confidence within themselves.
I read that you got into music after experiencing bullying at school. How did music help you overcome such a tough experience?
Yeah, I think it was really weird because in primary school I was really, really quiet and shy. And then I think something weird happened when it was a transition between year 6 and 7. My parents decided to have a divorce. And so it was a weird period of going from primary school into secondary school, but then also this big thing happening in your family. And at the time I just kind of like pushed it to one side and just carried on, went to school, and probably more concerned about my parents than myself. I wasn't really even upset about it. But I think it had an impact on my behaviour because I went into year 7, suddenly I went from this kind of quiet, shy, passive kind of character to being really loud, wanting to be the class clown, wanting to make everyone laugh, getting sent out of class all the time, just being really, really naughty. So that I would get bullied and they would like call me names and I would fight back, which made it even worse, and just it would spiral and spiral. And then in year 9, even the group of girls I was hanging out with, I think they just had enough of me and everyone just kind of turned on me and I had no one. And so I thought, well, I might as well just start studying now. So I actually just
got
started.
Nothing else
Yeah, I was like, I might as well start studying. Actually got quite good at it.
Yeah.
And then at the time I didn't know how to play guitar. So lyrics and poetry was all I had. And I really got into like the Libertines and Feeder and bands like that. And like Pete Doherty, I've got his photo up there, he writes a lot of poetry and stuff, and being in English as well and you're surrounded by poems and anthologies, I just used that and started to write loads of lyrics, but I didn't have the skill of playing the guitar to make them into songs yet. So yeah, I just started to write loads in like around year 9 in my diary, just writing and writing and writing.
Right.
I suppose that was like the first sign of I needed to get something out, and probably feeling quite down as well, and turning to like the creative side of things to get that out of my system.
And how did your band come together?
So in year 9, that weird period that I had when I had no friends, Bev called me up one day. You know when you call up your friend on the landline? Those were like the best days before all the really annoying WhatsApp group chats.
You had to go through your mum and be like, "Hi, please speak to."
But like I'm sure we're probably on like the family and friends deal where it's like 3 after 6 or whatever. We became close. We had this love of guitar bands. We were going to drum lessons together. We knew we wanted to form a band. She was playing drums. I'm now playing guitar. And at the time, we had another girl in the band as well, a different girl who later on left and Harriet joined. And we just formed this band. And it happened organically. And back then, like, we didn't know about feminism, about like undercover racism, or well, we accepted it. I accepted it if I was called the P word or whatever. Like I was just like, oh, whatever kind of thing. But
so much behind it.
Yeah, we had no idea about Riot Girl movement and punk, and we was just like, yeah, we're forming this band, and it just happened organically. We had just kind of been on tour with Kate Nash, and she took us to Glastonbury with her. Whilst we were backstage, we bumped into Billy Bragg because he was creating the Left Field stage. It means a lot to us as a band, and there needs to be legal aid for women who are going through this, for people that are going through this. So it's something that we're actually like campaigning for. You know, I would just say, find a quiet space before you go on stage, do some deep breathing, prepare before you go on, do your vocal warm-ups, do a body warm-up, jump around, loosen up, just get out there, use all of that nervous energy for the show.